it's a good question, because I think what happens when you play that early and he makes it through that season, you don't remember some of the bad things. You don't remember the tough reps. You get through the season and, they say he's a freshman All-American, some people say, and he's done a great job, and he has. And he started a lot of games as a true freshman at Iowa. But I think what happens sometimes to a kid like that, it's like, okay, you did this, now it's time to do this. And sometimes we have to do a really good job and a better job of sitting that kid down and saying, buddy, you're a freshman, and it's okay. Because what happens is he can come in the beginning of spring practice and think he has to be perfect and everything's got to be smooth and he's got it figured out. And in reality, he doesn't, and that's okay. So we just had that discussion about 2 or 3 days ago, so it's funny you're asking. And he's such a steady kid. He's got so many great qualities as a person and a player that he's understanding. What I've seen from him is a lot of improvement in the last 7 days. He's made a nice little jump. What I want to continue to see is him just be who he is. Don't worry about the next. Don't worry about what's next. Don't worry about what everyone says you should do. He just needs to focus on his daily business. And honestly, I want him to play with a little more personality that he has. I think sometimes when you're young and you get thrown in that fire like he did last year, sometimes it's a little bit of survival modes. So there's some quirky things that he's done technique-wise because he had to, because he was trying to survive it there at times. So we're cleaning some of those things up. But also, this is his second time going through everything, so he's going to be a little bit more comfortable. His feet are going to be in the ground better. And I think that's going to allow him to show his real personality. And I think anytime you get a player to do that, especially an offensive lineman, I think he's going to get better faster. So I'm excited to see that as time goes.
With Mason Richman, he got thrown in at left tackle, a premier position anyway, or at least, and then he got hurt. I think he was against Northwestern, hurt his knee. Yep. What kind of growth did you see all the way through? Because typically a player like that as a redshirt freshman might play more of a guard or even a right tackle, but to get thrown in against some of those great pass rushers right away. And what do you think maybe his upside is this year and beyond?
I think to answer the first part, I think what we saw was a kid that really cares, like really, really cares. And everything, he over-evaluates himself and judges himself pretty harshly, like most offensive linemen do. They're over-analytical, they're pleasers, they're perfectionists, they're mama's boys, and those are all good things. But sometimes it can slow kids down because they're overthinking things and overanalyzing things. And I think he did a little bit of that at times last year. He's done that a little bit during the spring. And again, that's not a bad thing. He's a driven young man. And what we have to do a good job of as coaches is sit down and remind him, hey, here's how, write your age on the board, just stare at it. You're going in the right direction. What we have to do is we can't lose time trying to be perfect. We have to understand that there's a lot of work to be done. Because I think when you play young, you got to be careful that they have some ulterior idea of what they have to be in 10 days. And social media and things like that have increased that for sure for kids. What he brings to the table and what he will bring to the table, he's got a lot of leadership qualities. He's not afraid to talk. He has a ton of personality. He likes to hit. He likes football. Like the other day, we did do a couple drills with some contact, and he was the first one to come to my office and like, what are we doing? Like, what's the deal? That's him. And he's just got an energy about him, and so I think he's going to continue to get better just because he's a very driven kid.
How have you seen Logan Jones make the switch from defensive line to offensive line?
Logan came over, I think it was, the days get mixed together, probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5. He's done a great job. I think he's done a tremendous job. Here's reason number one, how he's wired, who he is as a person. He's very competitive. He likes contact. He's really smart. He likes to ask questions. He likes to find out the whys of doing things. So the transition's good. He's got a lot of work to do. The kid's never snapped the ball before. So that's a start, But but he took to that pretty naturally, and he just does a nice job. I think the thing that he has to realize is he has so many good gifts as far as athletic ability and twitch and tenacity that we have to make sure we don't overburden him with, hey, you have to learn this today, and we got to get you going. You got to get going tomorrow. That's what you got to be careful with a kid like that. He's got to continue to play off rhythm and feel. He's a defensive lineman. He's a thrower. I'm an old throwing coach, and those guys are off of rhythm and feel. So if they get too overburdened with all the details, he could actually slow his progress, because you can see him behind. He'll be behind the group, and he's walking through the steps, and he's meticulously, and I'll always go by and say, stop it. Just go play. Because he knows what he's doing, and he puts his body in really good situations, and we do all the drill work needed to get him muscle memoried into playing well. What he needs to do is make sure he just stays within himself and his own personality, because that's his gift. That's his gift. So I think the transition's going well.
Like, who will be the first center out there on Saturday, and like what's kind of the pecking order right now as you see it, because that's obviously a position of
Sure.
interest.
And we switched around a little bit, just to be honest with you. Some days, we'll throw Ellsbury in there and let him run with the ones. Some days we let Logan run with the ones, and just give them both, and give the you got to give the quarterbacks different snapping styles, and so as far as who's going to go Saturday first, don't know. They'll both get a lion's share of the
Okay.
work.
And Fagan is out. Is that?
No, Fagan's in.
He's in.
And he is getting better. He's doing a really nice job. He's doing a really nice job. But Ellsbury and Jones have been getting the biggest share, mostly because they played it the least, right? So you got to see what they've done. Fagan is so reliable because he's so smart and cares so much that you can always take a few reps off of him to give to those others. You got to get those guys up to par, right? What do they say, 10,000 reps or something? And we got some